Jess and Shan from Koori Curriculum, and we are just jumping on to give you guys a sneak peek into the Koori Curriculum Club. So, this is both for existing members and people who are thinking of signing up because often people aren't aware of the volume of content that's behind the doors of the club and all the little tricks and features that you can find. So Shannon really does create the KC Club. The KC Club is his baby. But I suppose the main thing of our membership is the masterclasses. Shan, would you agree?
Yeah.
So when you scroll down, you can sort of see it's a little bit like a Netflix layout. So the most recent masterclasses will appear first. So our latest one in this case was with Kerry, who's an educator in Townsville, talking about sustainable practices and how that intersects with cultural practices at her service. But you can just scroll through and you will see all of them. There's a whole range of different presenters. Some are early childhood educators, some are Aboriginal community members. There are both Indigenous and non-Indigenous educators in a range of different topics. And I think there's probably over 60, close to
Mhm.
70 masterclasses at this point. So scrolling through and they're all there. Then the next feature is our lesson plans. How would you explain our lesson plans, Shan?
So the way we've loaded the lesson plans in is we've put them into categories because while there's about 60 masterclasses, I think at this stage, or 65, there's even more lesson plans. So we load them up each month under a different topic. So for example, if I click on activities, this will take us through to look at all of the lesson plans that we have sitting under there. So you've got music, you've got photography, you've got camping, cars and transport, football, our pen pals lesson plan is in there. So it's just a way of categorizing the lesson plans in ways that make it a little bit easier for people to get into what we have in the content there.
Yeah, cool. And the lesson plans usually they're all aimed for 0 to 5 year olds, but then we also have primary teachers that are in our membership, and they're able to transfer and adapt those ideas and concepts to fit their context as well, which is another question we always get asked. Cool. So then the next part of our membership is our fact sheets. And again, there are heaps of these, from looking at different health outcomes and how Aboriginal perspectives has been embedded, different reconciliation actions that you might also have in your wrap that have further information of what you can do around that. We have fact sheets around the 8 ways of learning, different historical dates that have taken place, some myths, and yeah, a whole range of different fact sheets. And often educators will print these out to use in team meetings or have in the staff room to use as a bit of a reflective reading. Then we have our story time educator notes. And these are all essentially like mini lesson plans that are based on a First Nations children's book. Often educators have these books, and we really recommend bookish play and using these stories as a springboard for further learning. So it's an idea sheet, so to speak, that give you lots of ideas and insight into all the different tangents that you can explore stemming off from these stories.
Yeah.
What's
And
the next? Sorry, Shane.
there's also, I will say, there's a couple there you can see that have got a time frame on them. So there are a couple of the Storytime Educator notes that also have a recording by Jess reading those books. So if you need a quick cuppa or a little break and you wanted to pop something on, you can have Jess read some Storytime, read a book to the children in your room.
It's also good, like if you don't have those books and you
Yeah.
want to know what they're like before you then go and buy them to have on your shelf. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And
Um,
remember, you have your 20% discount to the Koori Curriculum store for any books that you buy as well. So don't forget that you can use those as well.
yeah, that's a great membership perk. Then we've got our courses. So our courses are reconciliation, action, programming, planning, and pedagogy. And you scroll there, they present it in this way, not in our masterclasses, because there are a series of modules that you work your way through. Um, these both were filmed at Early Learning Services. So Reconciliation in Action was filmed at Explore and Develop Annandale. Programming, Planning and Pedagogy was filmed at Concord West Roads Preschool. And these are two services who have exemplary practice, who have been long time members and friends of the Koori curriculum. And so being able to see their service, their environments, their program and practice, to see what this actually looks like in a real life context, was something that we were really passionate about sharing with our community. So that's where you can find our courses. If you keep scrolling down, these are just some of our pre-recorded webinars. So these are all myself presenting on these topics. So that's where you can find mine. These can all be purchased separately outside of the Koori Curriculum Club. So can our courses. But when you are a member, these are all part of what's being offered to you. What's the next bit, Shan? Shirley.
Next is we have our much loved Shirley Pearl and her Bush Friends letter subscription. So as a KC Club member, you get digital access to the digital version for free. And what we've loaded up here is because we've been running it now for we're in our third year. We've done like we've done with our lesson plans. We've actually then popped them into the years for you. And there's also a welcome letter as well. So if you're just starting out, that's the first place. You want to download that first letter because it introduces Shirley Pearl and what the adventures are and her family and all of those wonderful things. And then you can choose what one you want to go to. There's so that we've got 26 letters now because it's Feb while we're doing this. So yeah, there's quite a lot, and they also come with their own play ideas that are tied to what was in that letter. So there's a couple of activities that you can do to help embed that letter as well.
Why it's good to go back and look at the others because again, often there are ones that we did last year that were for significant dates.
Yeah.
So we're not going to do that again this year. But if you were wondering like could you explain NAIDOC week to children or Sorry Day or whatever it is, that was very, very much a focus of last year's letters that were embedded in. And obviously they all include an animal or a bird of some sort, like our bush friends. So then if your children were interested in cockatoos, but this month's letter is on wombats, and you might go back to the letter that was on cockatoos, from a previous year, or if you want them more frequently, then you're able to access them as well. So yeah, they're great. Then there's a whole heap of different bonuses. And including like our live mentoring that we've done with members in the past, which are there for you to record. There might be different topics that you're interested in. Are there any other features, Shan, that you want to call out? I know that you talked about favoriting things.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll jump into, let's go into one that's not going to autoplay because the videos will autoplay when you click at them. So I'll just click into this Storytime Educator Notes for Sky Country by Arnie Patsy Cameron. So this is what all of the inside of the lessons actually look like. So if this was a video, this would automatically play. You can pause that. But this new setup or the Koori Curriculum Club now has the ability for you to create a favorite. So you can create a collection of your own in there. There might be lesson plans you want to come through to, or you might go through them in the month and go, cool, this is what I'm going to do for the next 12 months, for example. So every lesson has the ability to favorite it. And then when we come back to the KC Club dashboard, the main dashboard, now you'll see your favorites will now sit up the top. So I've got my favorites sit up here. And you can also click on the left-hand menu on the side. And what that will do is take you to a screen that is specifically just for your favorites. So you can come through here and they'll all be listed here for you.
Great. I love that. And the other thing that we wanted to share with everyone is our learning pathways.
Mhm. We sure did. So I'll jump into come down here. So what we've done as well with the content that we've got in the KC Club is we've categorized it under main learning pathways. So one, for example, is art. So if we click into here, and this has been divided up into masterclass lesson plans, fact sheets, storytime educator notes. You've got a workbook that you can track your learning from as well to download. But basically what we've done is we've hand selected a couple of masterclasses, lesson plans, fact sheets, and storytime educator notes that are related to art. And then if you click in those, it will bring up the masterclasses that we recommend under that. So if you want to really focus in on art in a month, for example, you could go through all of that. If you want to get in, another one that's really good to look into is reconciliation, if it will let me go there.
Yeah, so the different learning pathways are art, embedding, connecting with country, pedagogy, social justice, and
Yes.
reconciliation. So those are the different learning pathways. And the reason that we did it is because there's so much content, and that sometimes educators find it hard to scroll through it all to find the topics that they're after. So we've tried to categorize it as well as we can, just to make it easier. And then if you're assigning learning pathways to individual educators, it's easier for them to work their way through because we don't all need to do the same things. Like I always recommend that educators do the same foundational stuff. So embedding Aboriginal perspectives, for example, probably the reconciliation course, the programming, planning, and pedagogy course. That would be what I think is your foundation. But then from there, you can stem and niche off into different areas that interest you. Like we don't all have to be the same. Like, so I always say to educators, find what it is that you're passionate about and use that as a way to bring in Aboriginal perspective. So that was sort of the thinking behind our learning pathways. Yeah. So
Perfect.
this is just our, oh, yeah, cool. Shan, anything else you want to call out?
Yeah, so there is a new thing that we've introduced into the Koori Curriculum Club, which we just did at the end of last year. So I just want to bring you down here to the KC Club support section. So what we have now available is a group welcome call. So if you've just joined up with the Koori Curriculum Club and you're a bit lost and not really sure where to go, if you come along to a session, where you can ask those questions. So where would I start? And yeah, what's important to you? What is your service looking at this particular moment in time? And it just allows you to talk with one of the team and we can point you in the right direction of where to start. We've also introduced a monthly support call. So every month you can come along. If you want, you can come along multiple times during your membership if you like. And that is again for that specific reason. So when you book that, we ask you a couple of questions. So what are you looking for? Just so that we can prep before the meeting because it is limited to time and slots. So you have that option available for you as well. We've also introduced a bi-monthly yarning circle with Jess. So a similar session, but it is with Jess directly where you can talk about things with Jess. So we wanted to open that up. And this video that we're actually filming right now will go in the KC Club run through so that you guys can come back to that when you need to, or if you get a bit stuck, we have these areas available for you as well.
I love those new additions because even if you've been a member for a long time, it's still good to come to the support call to find out what's new. Or you can say to us, like, this is what we're struggling with at our centre. Like, what masterclasses do you recommend? And like, if I'm not there, you're there, Shannon. You've been with us from the beginning of KC Club and you probably know what's there more than what I know what's there. So there's always that we can recommend different things for you to have a look at. So come along to that and connect with other people, hear what they're doing. Like it's a nice
Yes.
support thing to tap into. All right, cool. Thanks, Shan, for joining me to run through the updates to the KC Club. I hope that makes it a little bit clearer to everyone all the perks that are involved behind the scenes. But as always, if you have questions or any kind of queries that you want to go through in more depth, you can reach out to myself or a member of the team. And the best way to do so is to email us at info@kooricurriculum.com. And we'll yarn to you all again soon. See ya.
Cool.
Sweet.